What up, everybody? It's the guys at Through the Ropes podcast, Jake and Paris, and we have an awesome guest with us today. But first, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We have Fresh Bread Productions, of course, Fire Artisan Pizza, and then Great Northern Dispensary. If you need some bud that's better than good, it's great. Go check out Great Northern, man. They're awesome people. Yeah, like I was saying, we have an awesome guest today. We have Mr. Shawn Hertel, a legend here down in Great Falls in the fight game and everything like that. I mean, kind of a local legend. I mean, radio personality, a little bit of everything.
I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. Legend, I don't know about that, but I've been involved with the fight community for a long time. I'm a retired fighter. I was actually supposed to fight in December, but the powers that be said no. Yeah. And I ended up having a widowmaker heart attack in June, and so I'm permanently on the shelf. And so it is what it is. I can't do anything about it. And so,
yeah, we had a chance to talk a little bit about that at the weigh-ins at the Wild Hare.
Yeah.
Because I had seen you in March in Missoula of last year, and I had heard that you were going to fight again. I didn't even really know you, just barely just from meeting you. And I've slowly kind of found out about you more and more through Nick and Ryan and then other people.
Right.
So I've been really interested to hear your story and hear about you. So let's back it up just a little bit. You're from Great Falls. Like, how did you get introduced to the fight game? Where are you from? Are you from Great Falls? Or?
Actually, no.
Okay.
I was born in California. My father drove truck for a living. He drove through Montana, fell in love with it, moved us here when I was 5.
Dang.
And so I grew up in Missoula and surrounding area, Clinton and whatnot. I've always been a hellion, rebel with no cause, just causing trouble. I've always been involved in wrestling. Martial arts has always been a passion of mine. So growing up, I dabbled in martial arts here, there, and everywhere. And I actually was doing MMA fights before it blew up. I was going to Spokane and traveling and getting raided by the cops and everything else. It was pretty crazy back then, but it wasn't mainstream. It was underground. And so that was interesting. And long story, really, really short. I ended up getting in trouble with the law, went away for a little while, and I got out, and then UFC is bigger than ever, and that was one of my goals when I was younger, was to try and get to the UFC, but, it was still underground, and I was like, I want to go there, but never happened. And then I've gotten the world of radio here in Great Falls, and I was pushing almost 300 pounds, and I was doing a weight loss competition with Access Fitness when they were still in town. Mm-hmm. And I started crushing my goals, just crush them. And I ended up winning that competition. But I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. And at the time, Corey Smith had 221 Industries, and he was one of my clients at the radio. And I said, hey, I got a crazy idea. And I said, I want to do a fight for child abuse awareness, and you have a fight coming up in April, and that's Child Abuse Awareness Month. And he's like, can you get down to 185? I was like, no, I was almost 300. He's like, how about 205? So I could do 205. And he's like, would you fight Cody Vicassin? And I said, yeah. I watched Cody fight. I thought him and I were fairly evenly matched. He was coming off, I want to say, a 2-fight losing streak, and just his love for the sport and, his name around town, it's the weirdest thing. I've never seen anything like it in my life. People love him or hate him. There's no gray area. People ask me who I was going to fight, and I tell them, they're like, oh, kick his ass. Or, oh, man, this is going to be tough. And
yeah.
It was really, really weird. But
what year was this? What, like 12 years ago?
That was dang near 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like 2012-ish?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
And I want to say it was 2011, actually.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it was around then, because I remember that fight. I was there working for Corey. That was like the early days when I started filming MMA.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
this little fresh-faced Paris dude running around.
My little camera
guys.
that I had.
And look at you now.
Yeah.
I got a bigger camera.
Yeah.
You got a bigger camera. And but it was funny because everybody thought that because it was a fundraising fight, that we were going to go out there and play patty cake or something with each other, but we knocked the crap out of each other. He broke his foot. I broke my ribs again. and we ended up getting fight of the night, and it was a USA versus Brazil card. It was awesome.
That's fun.
At the end of the fight, Cody ended up breaking my ribs and winning, and at the end of the fight, he goes to his corner and grabs a check and brings it over and hands me a check from himself for the cause. So I have nothing bad to say about Cody at all.
Yeah.
He's always been a class act in my book.
Well, I mean, everyone can do things that, certain people may see in their eyes as, they don't like it. But, I mean, he's always been a good guy to me. I've known him since, middle school, high school. And he's always been good to me, and he's been good to the community and a lot of people that I know, and it's helped a lot of people out. So I don't have nothing bad to say about him. No. So did you do wrestling and stuff in high school when you were younger then?
Grade school and high school, I wrestled all through grade school. I didn't play any sport that was not contact.
Okay.
Football, wrestling.
So you played Sentinel, or where did you?
I played for Hellgate.
Okay, Hellgate.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
That's such a cool school.
Yeah.
I lived not too far from when I was living in Missoula for a little bit. So
And then I played flag football in grade school for Bonner. That's where I lived in that area.
Yeah.
I actually played professional flag football for the Mavericks out in Spokane.
Really?
Our championship game was the last game played in the Kingdom before they blew it up.
Damn.
It was pretty cool.
That's super awesome.
Yeah,
man.
it's like-
I miss that. That's a part of Seattle, man. They lost a bit of their heart with that one. That's super cool, man. So you've always been kind of involved with the sports community and hard impact sports as a overall. And then, so like, what year were you like in high school, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm old. I'm 50 right now.
Okay.
And I'll be 51 in May. So I was supposed to graduate in 93.
Okay.
So
that's right as UFC's like just starting to like come out. And
I remember renting their tapes in the VHS tapes.
And Blockbuster.
Yeah, and watching them that way,
Yeah.
The Hoist Gracie and the Gracie train. And
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
But
R.I.P. Blockbuster too. All the good things die out eventually. But so were you always kind of getting in trouble in school and stuff like that, or did this kind of post? You just kind of getting in fights? You were saying you're doing underground stuff. Was that kind of like a fight club kind of thing, you guys, or what?
It was kind of like our productions that we have now, but there wasn't any media there. It was hush hush, and it wasn't really a fight club. It's like, hey, you're gonna get paid to go and fight. If you win, you get so much money. If you lose, you get so much money. And it was like in Spokane, it was really crazy because a lot of places when they were underground, like you had to go and do the secret knock or some crazy thing. Like it was weird. It was very bizarre. But then you had a passcode or password they had to give the dude to the door. It was just nuts.
It's like the Beer Fest movie.
Exactly.
The whole
like
thing.
that. And you walk in and it's just dirty and it stunk of mildew, and the cage was barely a cage at all. It was just a bunch of chain link fence just wrapped around some 2x4s. It was, or 4x4s, I should say. But yeah, it was crazy back then. Yeah. Sometimes it wasn't even a cage; it was more like a boxing ring.
Damn.
But, yeah, just go in there and get stupid.
So how many fights would you say that you had?
All in all, I'd probably have 25, 26 fights all in all.
Yeah. How many would you say in like kind of your younger years do you think you probably had before you
like street fights?
Yeah, or just like what you're saying, what you're talking about right now, like in
that's including those.
Okay.
Yeah. Street fights is
you're like, I don't even
how many weekends are in a year?
It's like, well, let's see, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday were the party days.
It was nuts, and it was growing up. I had an older brother, and he used to pick on me all the time. And my dad always told him, one day he's going to get bigger and he's going to get better than you. And that day came, and I ended up beating my older brother. I felt bad because his whole side of his face was bruised. I had him in an arm and just, I wouldn't let go. But ever since then, him and I's relationship just welded. It's been, he knew that, okay, I'm not going to mess with him anymore. And, but any like one-on-one competition going even through grade school, like in the high school, and I was wrestling, I never lost. It was the craziest thing. Like I remember telling people when Cody and I fought, I was like, "This, if I lose, it's the first time I've ever lost in a one-on-one basis. Team wins and losses, but me versus them, it's never happened." And I was like, that's the only thing I got to, and I was 41 at the time. I'm like, that I don't care about that record anymore,
Right.
But it was just very surreal. Like, I don't know. I don't think I was that great. I was just bonehead. I don't know. Get stuck on stupid and go. I don't know. I didn't care. The outcome is like how I looked. As long as I won, that was it.
Right.
So
do you think your brother kind of pummeling on you kind of gave you a different type of resilience and toughness then, or did it? What did that do? Because I feel my brother and I was the older brother, and sometimes I could be. My brother deserved a chunk of time, but I think sometimes maybe I was a dick
Right.
too, and it unfortunately it came to that point where he got bigger than me and he was a wrestler, and we had it out a time or two, and I feel bad that I had done that to him because it kind of hurt our relationship, and I'm constantly trying to make it better, and I'm happy that you guys that ended up solidifying. It took us a couple years to kind of figure it out, but
it was him and I. We sibling rivalries always, and it didn't matter if anything happened. Now, he got punched in the face while he was on his motorcycle when he was a kid, and I was like, "Where's that dude at?"
Right.
And he's like, "No."
Right.
But this is, he's my brother.
Right.
He's blood. And now, and right. Actually, I'm gonna back up. Right before he went to the military out of high school, and like 2 days before he left for the military, him and I got in a scuffle. And I punched him in the face, and then he goes off to boot camp, and I don't see him forever. Like it was a hot minute because he was on the other side of the country. He was on a boat in the middle of the ocean,
Right.
And I got in trouble with the law and went away for a little bit, and it's then we get back together, and it's like nothing really changed, but everything changed at the same time. It was really cool, and. I'm definitely the black sheep of my family, but I'm also the prodigal son. It's weird. It's like my father, when he was still alive, my brother's one that he graduated high school, did 23 years in the military, made a career. He owns his own business, very successful, doing his thing. I took every other road possible except for the good one.
Right.
And it was like, anytime I'd come home, it was just like, Shawn, it's bizarre, but yeah.
They're proud of you. You can be proud of people, and you can be successful in different ways. It's I don't know. People look at achievements in different ways. Obviously
True.
Money, career. In the military service, obviously I respect that. Everyone respects that. But it's like when you overcome certain things and you become who you were kind of meant to be from the beginning. There's a lot of other things to be proud of in those achievements as well. So
I'm not one to boast on myself much at all, to be honest with you. I hate the spotlight, which is crazy because I'm on a podcast. But I'd much rather be behind the scenes and help make things happen. But I was at the other podcast with Weekly Bust, and they asked me a question like, "Who is Shawn Hertel?" And I was like, it's a good question.
Yeah.
I said I'm an enigma. And I am. I can transverse into any different situation or scenario, and I'm somebody that has rebuilt himself 1,000 times, and I'll do it 1,001, 1,002, 1,003 times if it has to happen that way. It's I don't give up easy. I've never been a quitter. It's weird, but I've had the rare ability to live a life that proves the phrase "life is stranger than fiction" to be a reality.
Yeah.
And I look back, like I said, I'm 50 now. I look back at the past 50 years, and I'm like, if I didn't live it, I wouldn't believe half the crap I've gone through. It's like, it's bizarre to me. People are like, no, that never happened. And then other people are like, no, that happened. That was real. It's like, but
it's funny when we live these we're the people that we are now. I deal with that a bit, and I mean, I'm very open about, I was telling you a little bit, I'm pretty open about the shit I did in the past, but it's like when people meet you at a certain point in your life and you're the different person that knew you, and they don't want to, they're like, no way that you did that, and it's like, oh yeah, and then you get a couple of the old homies around or something, and we all have past some are just a little bit crazier than others. So
very crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that when your brother came back, and what you said too is no matter how many issues my brother and I had, if someone was messing with either one of us, we always immediately, it's one thing for me and him to beef it out, but it was like when someone was fucking with one or the other, like we were always right there to
Yes.
So
100%.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Family is family. And not all blood is family, not all family is blood, but and I have some really, really close friends that are family to me, and it's the same way.
Exactly.
But but I came to Great Falls via the transition center.
Okay.
That's how I ended up I grew up in Missoula and whatnot, and I got here via the transition center, worked construction, and I was at a job, and I actually went to the radio station to talk to them about advertising for my business that I was working for. And the sales manager there was like, "Have you ever thought about working in radio?" No. I tell everybody I have a face for radio and a voice for print. I try to stay off air as much as possible. They get me on there, but it was intriguing to me. I was like, it's different and something I've never done before. I said, and so I interviewed, and I didn't think I got the job. And then the sales manager at the time called me up, and I happened to be in the shower because I had to go to work, and she left a message, "Hey, this is the type of message I want to leave on the phone, so if you can give me a call." And I was like, I didn't get it, And so I sucked it up, and I was like, well, I'll call her back out of respect. And she still played it, and, she's like, "Well, I just want to let you know that Jim and I talked about it, and unfortunately you're going to have to give your notice because we want you to come on." And I was just like, "What? Wait a minute, what?" And so, and in August, that'll be 14 years ago.
That's awesome.
And I've, from just a sales rep to sales manager to now I'm the general sales manager. So I handle the station on the local level and still oversee the sales team. And
so you work with BJ?
No, they're the competition.
Okay, they're the. I always forget that.
No, BJ's good people though.
Yeah, I work with her husband. Well, I used to work with Brett, and I've known.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then a friend of mine, Michelle Sellers.
Yep.
Works with Michelle,
and that's
just nice people. Great, really.
And that's the good thing. I feel is they're the competition, but competition breeds business.
Exactly.
I have nothing bad. I've known BJ since before I even got into radio, and so
competition always pushes innovation in one phase or another. So it pushes creativity and everything in its fashion. So healthy competition is always good for productivity everywhere. So
I agree.
So I don't want to say let's back it up again, back it up. So what grade were you? What kind of, if you don't mind me asking, like what kind of trouble were you getting in? What grade were you ended? I don't usually do this because I like just getting to know people shooting from the hip, but I did look up a little bit of your story about the Daisy Foundation or Dandelion. I fucked that up. The Dandelion Foundation and how that became a thing and everything. So let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind. About,
no, that's fine.
Yeah, what happened with you, how you ended up in prison, and then let's discuss some of that, if you don't mind.
No, I told you earlier, my life's an open book. It's all public knowledge. They can look at it. And so I got into a little bit of trouble in grade school for fighting, whatnot. Halfway through my senior year, I ended up beating up my principal, and I got kicked out of every school in Missoula, or high school in Missoula County, but I only attended one. The superintendent of schools kicked me out, and so I ended up I just got done with kickboxing practice, and it was during Maggot Fest weekend, which is a big rugby tournament in Missoula, and I'm down on Broadway, and I look over to my right, and I see this guy getting his ass handed to him by 5 dudes, and they're rugby players. And I look closer, and the guy getting his butt handed to him is a buddy of mine. So I mob in to help, level the playing field, so to speak. And one of the guys takes off running, and there happened to be a cop at the red light, and I get arrested for felony assault. And I was like, that's bullshit. I was like, I went to help somebody else out, and my buddy, he got busted on a misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and he was freaking out about that. So he's like, well, I have information on this case if you drop this charge. And so he turned state evidence against me. And
Damn, what a friend, huh?
yeah.
God
So
damn, dude.
I ended up getting him up there, and being young and dumb, I didn't know any better, and I didn't take it serious. And so I was still smoking weed and, getting dirty ways. Well, they revoked my probation, and I go to prison. And
How old are you when this is going on?
22-ish, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And so I go to prison, and I ended up going through the boot camp program to get out. And that's how I ended up in Great Falls. And met a gal here. She wanted to move back to Missoula, or wanted to move to Missoula. I didn't want to move back. I didn't want to go back to the same playground, playmates, and everything. But ended up moving back. She ends up pregnant. And her pregnancy takes a turn for the worse. She's on doctor-ordered bed rest. And so there's like 4 times in a 2-week period where I had to rush her to the hospital, and I had to leave work. And my employer at the time saw that as a liability, and so they put me on a forced leave of absence. And as the good Lord let it happen, she ended up going full term with my daughter. So, but all that time I wasn't working, and bills were stacking up. And she was in, when I met her, she was part of the treatment programs. And I remember getting home from work one day, because I ended up going to work finally, and she had this look on her face, and I was like, what's on your mind? And she's like, stinking thinking. And I was like, if everybody knows that area and that realm, that's bad. Like that means you're thinking about your past life and doing stuff that you don't want to be doing anymore. And that's when I knew it was pretty serious. And she's like, well, you did the security system for the casino, right? And I was like, yeah. And I used to work at this casino. And I was like, now wait a minute. I was like, time out. And I was like, you realize what you're asking me to do? Because I promised her that my life of BS was over, blah, blah, blah. I was being now serious about that. And she just looked at me and she's like, it's for the family. And we were facing eviction. Vehicles were broke down. It was bad. I don't come from money, so I didn't have any place to turn to, like, hey, help, can I get some help? I had no way out, I didn't think. And so I end up robbing the casino, and there was a guy in the bathroom that was shooting up dope I didn't know about, and he followed me to the vehicle that I was borrowing from my landlord, got the plate and turned it in. And, there's a phrase out there where it's like, I didn't get arrested, I got rescued. That's very reminiscent, because, I remember when I got out of prison the first time, I said, the only way I go back is for my family. And I meant that. And they were going to indict my daughter's mom, and they're doing the whole bad cop, good cop thing. And I had gone through a foster home program when I was a kid, and I'd be damned if my daughter was going to go through one. And so I made a deal, and I was like, you want a confession, that's fine, but you do not indict her. You keep her out of it.
Was your daughter born at the time?
She was.
Okay.
And she was about 4 months old.
Okay.
And
were you using at all, or were you just
No,
drinking, or just that's crazy?
Yeah, I was stoned.
I'm not saying that's crazy, but it's just like, usually I feel like a lot of those things are tied that, like, you literally were at such a point, and no extracurricular shit to kind of push you into that.
And that actually hurt me when they sentenced me, because I didn't have an excuse. I was like, no, life was my excuse. I was going through some shit.
Not trying to. No, you're right. I've been swearing a little bit. Not to say that that is okay, but it's like, I guess, it's like not having the excuse of like drugs and other shit, and that you were literally just trying to save your child, and It was I tell people, I don't condone and I don't condemn, because you don't know what you're capable of until you're put in that situation. Exactly.
And I felt I was in a situation, in a situation that I didn't have an answer for, and except for to go back to my old ways. And I did that, and I was locked up, and she took off with my daughter, no contact, and for a year and a half, I didn't see my daughter. Last time I saw her, she was 6 months old. And then another inmate who knew her and the family and whatnot came and found me at the gym one day, and he was crying, and he had a kid that was from a meth baby, all kinds of medical things I thought happened to his daughter. And he's crying, and I was like, what's going on? He's just like, so-and-so's in jail. And I was like, what happened? And he looked at me, and he's like, Thailand's dead. I don't know what happened, but in the blink of an eye, I put his ass to sleep. I knocked him out right where he stood. The guards rushed me, and it was chaos. And it had happened earlier that week, like 5 days prior. And the day that I found out about it was the day they were having her service. So I couldn't even go to her service or anything. And my parents didn't even know. I was pissed. I was like, how come nobody told me? Why did I have to find out via this way? And I remember just going through the process of trying to cope and deal with that. And it's like, okay, now this guy's coming here, and I'm already here. I had nothing to lose. And I was going to serve what I would call a father's revenge.
Yeah.
And I was up for parole, and I literally battled in an emotional state and a mental state of, do I go up for parole or do I stay here and wait for him to get here? And the answer came to me in a dream, and I'm in a room no bigger than this, and I destroyed it trying to find a pen and paper that was on my desk the whole time. And the answer came in a poem, and it's called My Promise. And in that poem, my promise to my daughters, I couldn't be a physical father to her anymore, but I can be a moral father to her. And so I decided to go for my parole, and I got it. I got out. 2 days later, he got to Deer Lodge.
So you were literally on the verge of getting out while all of this is unfolding.
Yep.
What a scary time for someone who's about to be let back out into society. I remember when I had gotten in trouble, it was I was nervous to get out of trouble and get off breathalyzers and other shit because I was worried about having my own, it was on me at that point, and I didn't have any physical things holding me back. So what a tough time to be.
It was an interesting time, to say the least. I remember talking with the counselors and whatnot there, and why this is all going on. A 6-year-old girl that didn't know my family at all saw the case on the news, and she wanted to take my daughter a stuffed animal, and her mom had explained to her that she didn't survive. And she's like, well, I want to do something. And so at 6 years old, this little girl and her mom started making these heart pins with a little handprint, and it says, hug a child for Thailand Page. And they were asking a $1 donation, $1, minimum. People were paying up to $100 for these pins. They took all the money that they raised and gave it to the Washington Children's Shelter in Missoula. And I hear about it. It's in the paper. I actually still have the newspaper article.
Were you still locked up at
yeah.
Okay. When this is happening.
This is all happening. And I had a jewelry box that I had made for my daughter, and everything, she was my driving force. I was already becoming the man that I wanted to be, but when I lost her and I wanted to be that moral father, she was my driving force, and still is to this day. And I had a hope to someday find this little girl and give her the jewelry box that I made for my daughter as a way of saying thank you. And I remember going to a grief counselor while I was in Deer Lodge, and the counselor had one of those pins, and I saw it, and she asked the question. She's like, "So why are you here?" And I was like, "That reason right there." And I said, "That's my daughter." And
They didn't know that was your daughter? Or?
no, they didn't.
Oh, wow.
They didn't realize it until
Wow.
it was pretty crazy. And,
The universe is a trip sometimes.
It is.
Or God or whatever you want to,
And she actually gave me that pin that she had bought, and to this day I have it. It hangs in my rear view of my truck. And we started going through like the grieving processes and whatnot. And I get out. I get my parole, and I get out, and then I hear about Jessica Bray, and I hear the story on the news about her and her daughter, and there are so many similarities between her case and what happened with my daughter. And if you were to put their picture side by side, they looked like sisters. It was like my daughter's name was Tylynn, her daughter's name was Kaylin. I mean, there was so many age differences or similar. It was bizarre. And I thought to myself, if a 6-year-old can do this for my family and for my daughter that they don't know, I can do something. And so I went and my wife at the time, we made, and my dear friend, it's like a sister to me, we made all these magnets that said, if we don't stand up for children, we don't stand for much. And we decorate them all individually unique. And we ran out of materials to make them. And I want to say we raised like $5,000 for her.
That's awesome.
And I would run into people that knew her. I didn't know her. I was like, great, here's my information. Have her call me. Well, it's going around Great Falls that people are selling these magnets. And she's like, well, I don't know this guy. Is he making money off my
some dude from prison? Like,
yeah.
That's all they're hearing.
So, and she knows the detectives and whatnot, and so I'm getting investigated for this.
Oh my God.
And I don't even know about it at the time. I had not a clue. And I'm just out there trying to do a good thing. And it finally got back to her, that I actually I raised money for her. I want to get it to her. And so her and I met at the Dairy Queen on 9th, and she asked me why I did this, and I explained to her my story and whatnot. And I said, all I ask is somehow, some way, you don't let this define you, make it become bigger than you, become better because of it. And she took the money and she started the Dandelion Foundation with it. And as the years progressed, I ended up being on the board of the Dandelion Foundation. And then that's how I ended up fighting for child abuse awareness. Mm-hmm. I started the I Fight So the Kids Don't Have To campaign for my fight. And it was just a snowball turn of events. And it was, as I was part of the Dandelion Foundation, we started doing events here in town. And we did a banquet where we wanted to honor different people. And one of them was that little 6-year-old girl. Her name is Jaden, who's now 18. And as the world works, in my prior job, I had to learn how to do skip tracing, which is a way to find people that don't want to be found. And I ended up finding her grandfather. And I call him up and I said, hey, this is who I am with the Dandelion Foundation, not on the personal level. And I was like, we want to honor her at our event this year. And he's like, oh, here's her number, here's her mom's number. And because in that newspaper article, they gave her mom's boyfriend's last name. So for a while, I was trying to find something that didn't exist.
Oh.
And long story, really crazy, long story short, we call her up, and her grandfather, he's like, well, yeah, and she likes to sing. And the morning I woke up, that I found out my daughter had died, I woke up to CMT playing on my TV, and the song Concrete Angel was playing by Martina McBride. And I just knew something in me knew something was not right. That day it was weird. But she's like, she often sings this song in memory of Tylynn. Maybe she could sing. And I'm just like, oh shit, this is crazy. And so we get there and I meet her. And I'm walking the hallway and I meet her and I'm just like, hi, Shawn, nice to meet you. She doesn't know I'm Tylynn's father or nothing. And then Jessica at this event, who's a president of the Dandelion Foundation, she had to leave. She's like, I need you to do Jaden's sound check. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? I'm like, I'm trying to keep my composure, and I now got to hear her sing this song that's about my daughter. And I was like, but I was stoic the whole time. I should have got an award. That was, I mean, I had to.
Holding it together there.
Yeah, it was nuts. And then, so at that event, we gave out the Heart to Remember Award, and which is named after the heart pins that she had done. And she was to be the first recipient of it.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm in a tux, very formal event, but under my tux, I had the heart pin that she had made. And I wanted her mom on stage as well. And she's shaking. She's got the award and whatnot. And she had no idea that she was doing this. And I asked her mom to come up on stage to help her, and I was like, in talking with Jessica, you mentioned, over the years, if you've done enough. And I told her, I said, if you were to ask everybody here, you've done enough. If you were to ask Tylen's, uncle, my brother stood up and he's like, you did enough. And I pointed away from myself and I said, if you were to ask Tylen's father, I'm trying to keep my composure here. She turned away from me and I took off my coat, my tuxedo joke, and she looked back and she saw that I was wearing her pin. And I said, you did enough, And the story itself is emotional as hell, but yesterday was actually would have been Tylen's birthday. So it's been January's a hell of a month, but so bear with me on that one. I don't mind talking about her, but it got me, and I was able to fulfill that hope, and I gave her that jewelry box and all that, and so it was a really amazing full circle night, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house, and it was pretty special. So,
but it makes me, it's cool, man, and just the fact that you found her and surprised her like that, and just I don't know, I feel like there's something to be said about just kind of keeping that a secret, not, because then maybe she would have looked at you a little bit differently. I don't know. And just, kind of surprising her last second like that. And
we're still friends to this day. I talked to her yesterday, as a matter of fact. And
sounds like we were meant to hit you up and ask you to come.
Yeah, I was like, that's why I was like, what's the topic? And you're like, everything. I'm like, all right.
Anything and everything. Well, and that's the thing is like, this is, we started this as like a fight podcast, but fitness, I mean, anything and everything. We were talking snowboarding on Monday with Max, and just, for me, it's just, I really like interesting people, and then I love to hear their stories. And I feel you on January. My sister passed away on January 20th. So the last, the month of January was really hard watching all of that. And so the holidays are always tough, but when January comes around, it's like, I bunker down a little bit more, and I hide a little bit more. But so I appreciate you coming out, especially the day after her birthday, and that's and it was kind of funny though listening. I knew some people that did like skip tracing stuff, so you kind of reminded me of like Liam Neeson there. Like, I have a special set of skills. If you run out of town, I will find you.
I will find you. Yes.
Yeah. So are you still a part of the board then on all that stuff?
I don't sit on the board anymore. I still follow what they do and whatnot. My life just got busy with radio and all that stuff. I am involved, just not on the board per se. So like they do a color run every year, and I'm involved with that.
When is that?
That's usually in May.
Okay.
And so
that'd be fun. I'm trying to do a couple different, like I think I'm gonna do the icebreaker and then a Spartan race, and I kind of wanted to do a couple smaller like fun things like that. So that would be cool. So keep me posted on that. That'd be fun to do something like that. So
it'll be fun.
So you got into radio. Were you nervous kind of like with your history and like your background of like how people would perceive you, or because you came out a changed man already, you were determined to kind of not let that defy you? Or
both? I think that's even right now, I've been there for 13 years, and I don't walk around like, hey, I'm Shawn, I used to be a felon, and but I remember I used to talk to the guys at the privelege. I had a good relationship with the staff there, and if they had some kids that were going through some tough time, I'd go and talk to them. And it's amazing to sit back and watch how these kids change, and what I mean by that is I start talking to them about, yeah, I know what you're going through, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, yeah, whatever, dude, and they're doing anything and everything but listening to me.
Right.
And then I bring out my file and lay it on the table, and I was like, no, I understand where you guys are at. And they're like, oh. And now they listen, and that's like, they realize that I'm not just some guy up here blowing smoke. I've been where they're at,
right.
And I asked them, I was like, how many of you, when I walked in here, thought I was a felon? And I probably talked to a group of kids there probably 10 times over the years, and none of them raised their hand saying that I was a felon. I don't act like a felon. I don't walk like a felon. I don't talk like a felon. People don't treat me like a felon. It's bizarre. But now if I act and walk and talk like a felon and, do felon crap, then people are going to treat me like one,
Right.
And so that was the mindset that I took on when I got into radio. That and just to be an honest sales rep. I've been on the other side of dishonest salespeople, and it sucks. I just want to be, if there's ever such thing as an honest salesperson, I wanted to be that.
Right.
And
you wanted to carve the path,
yeah,
if there wasn't one.
And I was like, and so as my relationships with clients got better, then I let the cat out of the bag, and I'd test the waters because I don't want to lose business because of it,
right?
Because I'm not proud of what I did. I'm proud of who I am now. I overcame a bunch, but so even now it's like, we'll see. I'll test the waters a little bit, but
and it's tough because when you see something on paper, it can look so bad. Well, in the court of public opinion, for some reason, weighs more than sometimes what the truth of the matter of the actual things are, and it's sad, and that's just like a cold reality of.
And that is a very cold reality, and I actually took on because I did face a couple times where people would change their outlook on me. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I said, you're allowed to do that. I said, but for me, I look at my paperwork and my sentencing and all that jazz, and, nowhere on there is your name mentioned. So I really don't care what you think.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh.
Right.
Like,
one, you could either, there's never, even if you were a great person who had no paperwork, there's always going to be someone that's going to want to judge, that's going to want to tear you down, and that's going to want to burn down the things that you've built, because, I think a lot of it just basically breaks down to envy.
Right.
Someone's envious that, hey, this guy's a felon. How is he being successful? And I'm doing my thing. A lot of people aren't willing to dedicate themselves, to things, to ideas, to, whatever it may be. And they see other people being successful in areas where they are unwilling to commit themselves. And I feel like the easy thing is to try and tear that down.
Yeah, it's a true story. That's a very true story.
Yeah.
And so, but, excuse me. Yeah. And so with the radio, I saw that as a platform that I've never experienced before. And it allowed me to be creative at the same time as, making a career, because I've always been a creative person. Excuse me. And it just took off, and I loved it. And that's my blood now, and I can't even envision doing anything but radio.
That's cool. So did you... You're all good, brother. You said you were a salesperson the whole time. You weren't ever doing like on air type of stuff. So
no, I'm a face for radio and a voice for print.
There we go. So you just strictly dealt with the business end of stuff. So then do you help like organize events? Like you were talking about that color run. I know that's for the Dandelion Foundation, but do you like organize events and stuff for the radio then? Or
I do a lot of promotions and stuff like that for radio stations, for different businesses as well. I got a little tickle. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right, dude. You're all right. Paris always asks that you just turn away from the mic. So
yeah,
that's all. Because one day I was like,
right, trying to.
No, you're all right. So yeah, that's kind of fun because I remember just talking like with BJ and stuff, and it's like it would be really funny. Like you think it'd be cool like going to all these concerts and stuff, but sometimes I feel like I would get and she was the radio DJ, so I feel like I don't know if you had to be as much stuff as like she would, but it's like I would get a little burned out on like going to the fair and like the Maggie and a couple of these other things. Do you really enjoy that kind of stuff and meeting those different because every one of those events there's potential customers,
right?
So
it's there's a fine line where, excuse me, you do what you do because you enjoy doing that, and then the fine line is where it goes from being fun to work.
Yeah,
and I've been able to navigate that pretty well. All the different events, like we got Margarita Meltdowns coming up here soon, and then you got the Walleyes Unlimited Banquets coming up, and I'll be at that one. I'll be at both of those.
Wine and Foods.
Yeah. The other people's. That's
okay.
That's theirs.
Damn it, Jay! Quit promoting the competition.
No, it's fine. It's a fun event,
Yeah, I haven't been to it in years, but
and the other two aren't even our events. Our events that we did were like Night of Living Ales. Which is, yeah, that's a fun adult.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. And so. Brewfest, we've done that one, but those are like station events that we help put on, but we promote all these other events, like Cowboy Cabaret is coming up.
That's a fun one. Shout out to the Heritage, dude. I used to do some catering. My buddy's grandparents own that, so I would help them do catering stuff.
They used to own it.
Yeah.
Sold this month.
What?
Yeah.
Roy and Diane sold it?
Yeah.
Who'd they sell it to?
I'm not exactly sure. Because that was my client for years, and I talked with Tyler. He told me that they sold.
Holy shit! I haven't talked to Jeff in a little bit. I better hit him up. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, I hope they continue to do events there and stuff.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they got that big ass room. They better.
Yeah. So, how did the iFight Foundation then kind of become a thing? Was this in preparation for your fight with Cody? Is when you started the iFight then, or?
Yeah, the whole idea of getting punched in the face to raise awareness for violence against children and domestic violence in general. As a marketing guy, I wanted to have something that separated the two, but still we could capitalize on to get the message out there. And people would ask me, well, why are you fighting? And one day the answer was, so the kids don't have to. And I was like, huh. And so I sat with Chad at Identity, and him and I designed the shirt. And on the front of it, it just says, I fight. And a lot of people are like, oh, this guy fights, like he's trying to be a tough guy. And then on the back of it, said the big logo, it says, so the kids don't have to. And so that took off like wildfire. We had shirts and hats made up and sold them all out. And then I was planning on bringing that back for that fight in December because I hated the fact that it was going to be a one and done. And because I got in an auto wreck.
Damn it, now I have the tickle.
It's not my fault, I swear.
Damn you, Shawn.
And I didn't want it to be a one and done, and we raised almost $15,000 off that first iFight for the Dandelion Foundation.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And so I wanted to bring it back. And I was talking with some of the former fighters that haven't been fighting in a while. I actually, Cody was the first one I talked to. And I was like, hey, I said, this is what I'm doing. This is what my plan is. And I said, you want to come out of retirement and fight on this card with me? And he was like, hell yeah. And so I talked to Cody, and then I talked to Shay O'Neill and Ari O'Neill, good friends of mine.
Shay's a great guy. I don't know.
Great guy.
Yeah.
They just had a baby, and all these fighters I'm talking to either have kids or have passion for kids. And I was like, will you fight on this card with me? And it was a stacked card. I was like, even Leo Bercier was going to come out of MMA retirement and fight MMA on that card with me.
It would be fun to see like I don't know what I'm trying to think of like a funny way to say it, but like a clever way, but like a ride off into the sunset card, and you get like some of the old baddies. You see if like Dave Evans would fight, and like Joe McMillan, and trying to think of a couple other ones too off the top of my head, but or like Sean Ibsen.
That was kind of because like Ryan Ibsen was going to fight on this card, Dallas Davidson was going to fight on that card, Colin Lee, who hasn't fought in forever, James Ogden. Holy smokes. People like that. And they were all like, yeah, let's do this. And then I had a heart attack and nope.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about this at the weigh-ins too at the hair, that you look really good, dude, for the type of stroke that you had. Like I know some people, family, friends that
I look like I had a stroke. I just had a heart attack.
Yeah. Okay. It was okay. That's what I said last time too, that it was I said stroke. You told me it was a heart attack. Okay. But either way, man, like there's people that are, that fucking basically sidelines. You know what I mean?
It almost ended me.
Yeah.
Like I had just got done with MMA training and I was sweating like a banshee and I was like, what the hell's going on? And I remember sitting there and I looked down and you know how you trickle water out of your faucet so your pipes don't freeze? Mm-hmm. It was coming like that was happening off every one of my fingers. And I thought I was having a heat stroke. And I lay down on the mat in front of the fans trying to cool off and I start to feel better. And I get up and start moving around and nope, lay back down. And it wasn't until I went to wipe sweat off my brow that I realized my whole left arm was numb and tingly.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this is not good. Took a really expensive Uber to the hospital and they estimate that my heart took no oxygenated blood for 30 to 45 minutes.
Holy shit, dude.
They're like, how you stayed conscious the whole time, we don't know. How you're still breathing is beyond medical explanation. And above and beyond that.
So basically what they were telling you is you're a modern marvel of modern science.
I'm a miracle.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
And about 3 weeks after that, I went and had my echocardiogram. And it wasn't for the fact that I have a stent that shows up. My heart shows no signs of even having a heart attack. No damage.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and I just thinking of my sister's ex years ago. I went down to Spokane. She lived in Coeur d'Alene forever, or in Post Falls, the next Coeur d'Alene. But he had some neurological thing that happened that like basically simulated. I can't even remember what the whole fucking deal was. But he like the whole right side of his body for like over 2 months. It took him forever to get any type of shit back. So I went down there at the beginning of December for like over a month and just helped like take care of him while she worked and stuff. And I took a break from my job and just kind of But yeah, it was just insane. So for you to be like where you're at right now is awesome, dude.
It was and people asked me like, was it a wake up call? And I was like, no, I don't think I really lived a life that I've woken up from.
Yeah, right. You're like, from what?
But truth be told, come to find out it was. I live day to day for myself now.
Yeah.
I have a thirst for life more than ever before. And so I don't have a thirst for his coffee anymore, I'll tell you that much. So sorry.
You want me to go get you a glass real quick of water or something?
Yeah, you got some water?
Yeah, let's grab him. Thanks, Paris. Yeah, well, and that's cool. And I just, it's weird, like what sometimes it takes us a funny little way to, unfortunately with what I've seen with my sister, I'm probably a little bit annoying with my chipper. I mean, I can be a dick too, don't get me wrong. But I always just, ever since I kind of witnessed what my sister went through, it just, every day is not, the next day is not promised to us. So it's fun to just be excited, and like I said, sometimes the older I get, I feel like kind of the cornier I get with certain phrases and sayings and just outlooks on life. But it's just like, it's cool, man, because I met a lot of young kids that unfortunately aren't here with us today anymore. And it's just like, some of those kids were in some nasty predicaments, dude, and they just still, you'd hang around them and they were just fucking glad to be here for another day. So it's fun, dude. I wake up every day, and I'm probably annoying, especially at work at like 6:30 in the morning. Like, hey, how's it going today? I'm like, oh, I'm good. I woke up today. How are you doing? They, barely awake and stuff. But it's kind of fun just to, I don't know, have that attitude, and it carries me through. I mean, it's not like, you know, everything to me is rainbows and sunshine, and I'm not Mr. Perky personality all the time, but it just
nobody is.
Well, and life isn't fun to me that way, to just kind of have like this negative outlook, and to just, you know, and shit's so crazy as far as, you know, like the politics and just everything is just so crazy that it's just like, I feel like you need positive people to kind of just fucking bring it back a little bit. And,
you know, people ask me, you know, how, you know, all the stuff I've gone through in my life, that how am I so positive all the time? And it's like, it's better than the alternative,
right?
You know, it's
right.
You know, I used to have my favorite phrase was, you know, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got, you know. But now it's a little more simpler. What you don't change, you choose.
Exactly.
So, and every day is life's a choice, you know, and it's my ongoing joke now is I broke my own personal record. They're like, yeah, what's that? Most consecutive days waking up. I plan on breaking it tomorrow. You know, it's like,
yeah.
But life's too short. I've learned that a couple different ways, you know, and so yeah, just take those moments and embrace it, man.
Right. When I definitely for a while there, kind of let my pain and my anger and my hurt kind of drive. I went to some crazy places and did some wild shit for a while, and I just started to realize that it wasn't the life that I wanted to lead, you know, and I was getting in trouble with the DUIs, and just a little moment with my niece and nephews is what like flipped the switch for me. And I mean, I still fuck around a little bit, but, you know, as far as like I don't drink and stuff anymore, and just, yeah, it's crazy with these little moments in our lives that just kind of just change our entire universe, like our entire way of thinking and stuff. And it's cool. That, do you think like, because I'm pretty open, like when the stuff happened with my sister, I ended up doing like a bit of therapy, and then later on in my life I did some like anger management for some stuff. And do you think therapy really kind of helped you? I mean, that's because it's tough. I mean, one, like as getting a kid, I guess, as a therapist to open up like on my end, but then getting like an adult like you who's in prison to open up, I'm sure that wasn't easy for them either. Do you think that really kind of helped you as your progression of someone wanting to get out, and like, you know, as far as like what you were dealing with your daughter?
Yeah, 100%. Because, you know, in that therapy, there's, you know, the grief cycle came out, and I'm like, what the hell's that? You know, and they explained to me that you're going to go through these little stages, and the crazy part is those stages don't have a certain order. They're going to bounce all over the damn place. And I remember I had gotten out and I was working construction, and my coworker and I, we used to banter back and forth through all the damn time, just harass the shit out of each other. And one morning we're building the new Holy Spirit church over there by Schulte's.
Yeah.
And I'm up on the roof, and he said something to me, and I just lost my mind. I came down off the roof. I climbed the freaking lift like I was King Kong. You know, we go over to his roof, and I'm going to try and throw this guy off the damn roof. And he's like, what the hell? And I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
Right.
You know, and then it dawned on me that it was getting close to her angelversary, and I was like, So I went and talked to my boss. I was like, hey, I said, this is what's going on. I said, I need to get my ticker straight. And he says, go do what you got to do. And I was able to recognize that before something really bad happened. And so, because I do that therapy, you know, and them, you know, showing me the different signs of what's going to happen.
How to recognize them and get ahead of the...
You know, because it was years later. You know, this is years later, and I was like, oh, I'm fine, you know, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, even like this year, I don't know why, but this year was harder than last year was. You know, it's not the same every year. And so...
That's crazy you said that, because my wife had a bunch of family in town. They rented a big Airbnb, and I kind of, I don't know, I didn't hang out as much as I probably should have. And I told Libby that this year just felt different to me, and I 100% know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. And the holidays were always like whatever to me as far as like present. I feel like people make too much of a deal about that than actually like family time and stuff. And not these guys, they're her family and my, I'm not saying my family necessarily, but the holidays were always just kind of whatever, and I liked it just because my sister was gone for parts of it in Seattle doing cancer treatment and stuff. So when we were together, it was like extra special. And yeah, just like you're saying, every year is a little bit different. And for some reason, this year was not a good one. So yeah, I'm sorry that you had a rough one too. So
it happens, like, and the good thing, if anybody out there is listening to this, one thing I say is surround yourself with people that know the situations, so if you are like, yes, last night I was content. I was going to stay home and do her birthday cake and yada, yada, yada. And a good buddy of mine, he's like, come on, we're out of here. And and it's not like I was in a bad place, but I was in a low spot, it was I was somber and he's like, nope, you're not staying there.
Right.
And so surround yourself with good, positive people, that,
and people that truly know you,
yeah,
that know the person you are and
Yep.
that can understand when,
Yeah.
because and sometimes even if you were like, okay, just when we get a little too comfortable in our processes,
Yep.
it's good to shake that up. So I'm glad that you have good friends like that are there for you in moments like that.
Yeah, it's and I didn't call him. He just showed up.
Right.
He texted me. He's like, I'm on my way to you. I'm like, what? Okay. And yeah, went out and enjoyed the evening, bullshitted, and hung out with some more friends. And
Right.
so it ended up being a good time. But
when it's always cool to me, like seeing someone like you're, like I like to be really honest about like my emotions and like what I saw, and just and it's okay to cry and it's okay to not be okay, and it's like even though we're tough men, we can still be emotional.
100%.
And when you're a badass, you know what I mean, and so for me, I always just appreciate when men are able to kind of just be honest with how they feel, and like when they're because then it lets a lot of other people, and people can think whatever they want to think about men sharing and expressing their feelings, but for me it's like that's how I stay sane. And it's insane how many people will message me like via Facebook or text or call, and it's a lot of people that aren't willing to talk about stuff that want to talk to me because I'm open about it. And it's tough, like sometimes kind of bearing a lot of other people's pain, but also I appreciate that they at least have one person they feel comfortable. So
Right.
I'm sure because of how you are and expressing your stuff, you deal with a similar type.
Yeah. I get people all the time that like, you're an inspiration, or I'm like, what? And how? I'm like, and I think, I tell people that they're an inspiration to me all the time, and they're like, I'm just being me,
Right.
And yeah, but in you doing that, you inspire without even knowing you inspire, and I think that's the most genuine inspiration that can be out there, is when you don't even try to just inspire. And because the ones that are out there that are trying to influencers and drive me nuts. It's like, don't try, just be authentic.
Right.
Be your true self. And you're talking about the emotions and stuff. And the holidays, those damn Hallmark commercials, in those movies.
My mom loves them.
I am the worst. I am a blubbering idiot when it comes to those things. I was never like that until I lost my daughter.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the heck? It's like, and it's always the feel good. It's not the sad stuff that gets me. It's the feel good. It's like, I'm excited. I'm happy. And
I'll have
weird.
weird parts of movies where sometimes it's like the obvious sad one will kind of turn me up, but then it's like a beautiful moment of like, a family coming back.
Yeah.
I don't even know, dude. It's
Yes.
like so, and I was like, God damn it, dude, what is happening?
Or
to me?
the military guys coming home to the kids. Give me a box of tissues.
I'm a freaking empath and a Cancer to a fault, so it's just like I'll see like that moment in the movie, and it's like I put myself as that. I don't know how, you know what I mean? But it's like all of a sudden I'm like, damn, dude, could you imagine like being away from your family for like 4 fucking years, not sure if you're gonna fucking survive, and then you find them,
Right? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I understand that completely. So
Well, and I think it's good. Like sometimes that's just, I think, our body like letting us know that we got some shit we got to work through.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
it's a cleanse.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with it.
no,
At all.
it's fun, dude. And I'm lucky that I have a I don't know if I'd say fun, but I'm lucky that I have a partner that's, you know, super understanding and, you know, and like I said, when I feel like what you were saying, like it's so weird when people will hit me up and like, oh, like you're inspiring me off this. And it's like, dude, I was a fucking fuck up for a while. You know, I got 3 DUIs in like 9 years. You know, I was doing bad shit, and I was doing bad more than just drinking. And so it's like, I'm not good at taking compliments, and I've never been good at graceful at that. So it's like tough for me when, you know, because, and you know, it's like people are hitting me up because I post so much shit, you know, so it's like my own fault for getting, you know, that, but it's just like, I'm just letting people know that you're not alone,
right?
And that you can come back no matter what you've done, you know, and there is some bad shit up, you know, that I'm not going to say that you can come back from. There is some shit in my mind that you can't come back from, but, it's just like we all have our own redemption arc. It's just how we want to get to it and how we want to write that story. And so, yeah, it's a little bit weird because for me, it's like I was fucking up big time. Like, you know, I didn't have many people left that wanted to back me. And it was like I had to change.
Right.
Or something bad, even worse was going to happen. And so it's kind of tough to hear that it's weird. It's like it's hard to wrap your mind around.
It is, you know, and you're talking there about the, for lack of better term, the rehabilitation of, you know, and, you know, I don't like being the spotlight guy. I don't like having, you know, it's a lot of pressure, you know, to be in the spotlight. And when someone's like, oh, you're an inspiration, you know, it's like, that's more pressure. I don't want, you know, because I'm human. I'm going to screw up again, you know. Don't put me on that pedestal. I don't like it at all because I'm not perfect. I've never claimed to be perfect. I just lived a crazy ass life and figured out a way to navigate it. You know? And so, yeah, I understand that where you're not comfortable with that, you know.
Well, and that's a part of too of why, like, when I'm really fucked up in the head, I'm even more vocal about that because it's like, look, like you see this end of me being like so happy and like so, you know, and I'm not saying that's fake, but it's like there's also this fucking other dark side of the coin, you know, that I probably experienced this more than I experienced the highs that I'm like sharing with people. So it's just it's not that I quit drinking over 7 years ago, and I'm never worried. I shouldn't say I'm never worried about slipping up there because if you're never worried, that's when you slip up and fuck up. You know,
you gotta be cognitive of it.
Yeah. So every day I think about it, but it just, yeah, it is kind of like a weird pressure because now people are like looking. Well, like I said, like I start letting my own shit slip because I'm so concerned about other friends and shit that I'm trying to like help out. So it's hard to, sometimes you have to, I let it go a little too far before I realize that it's like, hey, you need to fucking stop for a second and handle your own shit.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a tough balance, but you know, I'm just glad that there's people like you in the community, like I said, that are just, you're a good dude. I mean, with the I Fight and then helping the Dandelion Foundation and stuff like that, it just, I don't know. It's cool just to see people that invest into the community just because they see that that's what needs to be done. Like you could have gotten out of prison and just been done with that. You know what I mean? But you wanted to continue to try and help other people avoid, you know, that situation and stuff like that. So
I actually had this conversation with a really dear friend of mine the other day. And ever since I was a little kid, I don't know if it's just me and I'm just batshit crazy, but I always thought that I was destined for something great in life, you know, and I still do. I don't think I've achieved that yet, and so I'm going to try and find that, whatever that is, you know, maybe it is just helping out the communities, but I've always had this something in me, the desire that I was destined for something greater than, you know, a normal life, whatever that is.
Right.
You know, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but, you know, I love the community of Great Falls. You know, it's been very good to me, you know, from not knowing me at all, coming from, you know, prison to, their transition center and just meeting people. And over the years, I've been here for 20 some years now in Great Falls, and I enjoy it, and a lot of that I have to give tribute to my father for. He was a man of service. He was always serving his community, and he taught me the value of just doing things to help people because it's the right thing to do, not because you're getting anything back, just selflessness, and so I contribute that to my dad.
Yeah. When it just, it feels good, dude. Like, I love it. When, like, for me, like, I've said this before on here, I'm sure. And then, to everyone that I talk to, is like witnessing the community and what they did for my family, not just friends and family, but just random local strangers, local community members, that helped my family out more than once when my sister was sick. It was insane just to watch the outpouring of love from just everyone. And so that's kind of just why I feel such a tight bond with the community. And I want to, like, now it's my turn, people
Right.
helped take care of us back then, and now it's my turn to kind of, and I don't know, and just times are tough, and I just feel like it's always important for people to know that if there's like ever like one person out there rooting for you, it's me or it's you.
Right.
And it's it's just fun to just want to invest in people with like no strings attached. Like, I want nothing from this, just for you to, other than for you to be okay.
Yes, exactly.
And then, and so then I did you helped out a lot. I started the fundraiser for the playground equipment, and then you reached out because I had heard about you, but a little bit, and then you reached out, and I didn't even figure the two out because I had seen you at the fights, and then you messaged me, and I didn't link the name and so I really wanted to thank you again for that, and you linked up with Brittany and got all that stuff done, and
that's one thing I love about being in radio is we have this huge megaphone, for all practical reasons, and we have a job to our community to serve our community, and doing stuff like that with the playground equipment made sense. It helps the community. It's a win-win all the way around. Mm-hmm. And it's just the right thing to do. It's not always about, a price on a rate card or something like that.
Right.
It's the right thing to do. And I love that fact. That was instilled in me early in the radio with my old boss, who has since retired, my mentor, Jim Senst, and, he is actually hopefully going to get in the Hall of Fame this year. So I got the honor of inducting him. So hopefully he gets nominated. Very deserving man. But we have that responsibility to our community, and with it, that huge megaphone. Yeah, use it. And it's not always about the money. So I enjoy it. Again, it gives me that platform to do so much more that type of work and whatnot. So
I was on such a damn high, dude, because we started it, and within 24 hours we had raised over I had raised over $3,000. It was just crazy. It was like boom, boom, boom. The union came out, and then I had a couple. Tony Lemire, you're the bomb. Sean Brass, with Great Northern, he donated $1,000. Tony, between his two businesses, was like $2,000. You guys donated like $3,500 in advertising for it. Shout out to Brittany Keeler and Bobby Tillman. I will never stop saying that, because it was weird for me, because a lot of people are like, oh, you're doing such a good thing, and it's like I'm just like a messenger of those guys' hard work and what they're doing. So it's like I appreciate that people were saying such nice things, but it's like they spearheaded that, they started that. I literally just am lucky enough to know some business owners that are doing okay, and I have some really good friends that did that. So that is like, that's all them, all Brittany and all Bobby and some of the PTA people and people over at Chief Joe. So yeah, I just thank you again. It was super fun, and it was just insane how quickly it took off in like a week. I think we did over $10,000 we raised. And I want to start being a little bit more active with council, like community council stuff, and see what we can do. So because I remember like when kids are going through shit nowadays, and I can only imagine with technology and stuff. It's like, and when I was a kid, I was dealing with some serious shit with my sister. So time out on the playground was like some of the only normalcy I got when I was younger. And I feel like that's, who knows what these kids have going on at home. So it's like, if ever they needed a little bit of normalcy, it'd be right now and out there on that playground. So
absolutely. Growing up, we didn't have the technology that the kids have to their disposal right now, and it's weird how, because I have friends that have kids and they're telling about all their issues and they're getting bullied and blah blah blah. Shut off the phone then.
Right.
To me, that's a simple solution. Well, stop.
Right.
Shut the phone off. I can't do that. It's about status. And it's like, what? And it baffles my mind of how
it's so ingrained in everything, dude.
It's nuts. And then I actually had to really look at it like, oh, my day versus today, completely two different animals that we're dealing with,
Well, and if you look at statistics of like some of the shit they've been doing to prove just like how addictive like phones and some of these apps are and shit, like, yeah. I think I was like reading something that said that people on average check their like Facebook and IG or something, or like just their phone in general, like 98 to like 100 and something times in a day. I mean, who knows, you have to take some stats for what they are, but just, the shit's addictive. It's like the new cigarette for like this younger age, I feel like. So
it's a whole different realm of, trying to deal with those issues that they're dealing with. It's like, before, like I say, we had trouble with a bully,
you smack him in the
nose and all was well. Now you got the bully there, then you got the world that's going to, and then now it's a status symbol if you don't have so many social media profiles, blah, 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 blah.
There's so many followers, there's so many
like,
likes. That's the thing too, is like the fucking attention for the likes and the,
it's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
I couldn't imagine having a kid right now and navigating not just life in general with all this shit, and then just the internet, and when it's like I feel like we're in like kind of like the perfect gray areas. Like technology was like just morphing. I was born in '88. You know what I mean? So it's like Super Nintendo had kind of just coming out, and it's very primitive still.
Super Nintendo primitive.
Yeah. He's like, I remember fucking.
I was there with Pong came out. All right, buddy.
I was there with the fucking Atari. All right, you don't know nothing.
Pong was before Atari.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
okay.
That was an
Atari one.
That was a little dial on a disc, just ding, ding in the whole. Yeah. I remember that. I thought that was the coolest shit back then. I remember sticks and dirt. All right.
Yeah. It's like we were playing jacks, motherfucker. Paris, you got anything that you want to throw in here? I know I've kind of took a hold of this episode here and just kind of been chatting the whole time.
No, it's good. It was actually amazing to hear your story because I had just known like tiny little bits and pieces. I didn't really know the whole thing. So it's amazing to hear all of that. Definitely.
It's been a hell of a ride. I'm telling you, it was never planned to be like this crazy story of, how I overcome anything, or that was never my agenda. Just how life dealt the cards and how I played them, and it's, and if I can inspire somebody to keep going, awesome. It's never my intent to try to do that, but if you're going through some shit, hit me up. I'm on Facebook. I call the radio station, whatever. I'm more than happy to talk to somebody, just don't give in, just keep putting that foot forward, keep pushing. And so, but, it's interesting. I probably told my story more in the past 6 months randomly than I've ever had in the past years and whatnot. But I don't know why it's such an interesting topic. I don't know, but I'm just like, I'm just me. I've gone through some crazy shit, but no, it's been a hell of a life, and I enjoy it, and I look forward to many more years of it. And I'm actually going to it was brought up in December with the iFight. I'm actually going to LLC iFight.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, because you can fight for so many different things, cancer awareness and whatnot. And we can navigate that to do a different brand of fight gear, I guess.
Right.
And so that's my next move, is to try and do that, and
nice.
It'll be interesting. It can be manipulated to do anything that you have a passion to fight for. So
right. Well, keep us in touch with that one. Like I talked to you, the union I think is interested in kind of. I need to sit down with Mario. He's been busy between the holidays, and he was in Thailand for a little bit and traveling down to Boise for work. So it'd be fun to kind of organize a little sit down and maybe have a talk with moving forward with the union and maybe the iFight, or because it seems like they were talking about they wanted to kind of, get tied to a fighter or two, or especially something like that. I think they, after they donated to Nick and the Shop with the Fighter thing, I think they're really interested in the iFight and what you guys have going on with that. So
excellent.
It'd be fun to work with you guys in the future. So
I'm down.
Yeah,
I'm down.
Yeah.
I can't fight in the cage anymore, but I'll still keep fighting for those kids.
Yeah, I'm not much of a fighter anymore. When I street fought when I was younger, so I'm more of a lover and an innovator. So
there you go.
I'd rather help try and change shit through those avenues. So yeah, well, hopefully we can get together and work a little bit more in the future. You got some big fights coming up. You're going to Fusion's got fights tonight.
Yeah, my buddy Gage Saunders is fighting for the belt tonight, so I'll be leaving here and getting on the road.
2 belt holder potentially.
Yeah.
Not potentially. Gage is going to win.
Gage is a stud.
Yeah, he's the shit, dude. Him and Marnick both are such nice people.
Yeah, and then Shay's fighting tonight as well, and so going.
That's a title defense for him, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That'll be really cool. And then I can't remember some of the other people. This Travis dude, I think is third from the main, and there's a couple interesting fights on that card. But
yeah.
And
so we'll me and my buddy Mike are going to travel down for that. And I don't think I have to judge the fights. I get to just sit back and enjoy them, which is nice. So
yeah, those guys are really cool. I had fun and say hi to the Terrell and all them. The Terrell, Levi, Bryce, all those guys, Jim. They're all super, super nice guys. So Chad too. Him and Jim, Chad and Jim are so goddamn funny, dude. I love hanging around those guys. They crack me. I mean, all of them are super funny and they're really good guys. But that's a really, it's fun to go to those fights. Always, get really good cards. The promotion is really good. The lighting and everything, but it makes it a lot easier to want to support that because of the people that are behind the scenes working too. So I really like the guys over at Fusion. So yeah.
Terrell's been he stepped up Fusion from when he took over 221 Industries or ICF. He bought ICF from 221 Industries, and his product has just kept climbing, and Paris can attest to that. He's been to almost every single one of the events. So
yeah,
it's good to see. And if you haven't gone to an event, a Fusion event, go. One of the main reasons I say go is they do a fight for a cause at every event, and they do a fundraising for some person that is going through something that's could be possibly catastrophic and life-changing, and they need help, and like they say that nobody fights alone, and it's true. And I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand, and it's an amazing thing. But it's interesting when we talk about all this stuff about doing good things and how it's a fight, community that. Mm-hmm. And it looks so violent, but and I've told people this before, once you're in the cage, it's so calm. It's crazy. From the outside looking in, it looks just chaotic and violent, but inside the cage, it's very calm and surreal, and it's quiet. It's almost peaceful. It's really weird. But
when I like just the fight community, I mean, every type of clique or community, has its perks and its negatives, but I feel like with the fight community or with like the gym fitness world, there's a lot of like negative undertone or how people look at it, and it's like once you actually kind of get behind the scenes, like I was saying, once I started meeting the people with Fusion that were tied to it, and that's what's so fun about this is meeting these fighters, and it's more than just someone that's beating the shit out of someone. Like, it may be someone that overcame some insane drug addiction or went to prison and overcame something insane like you did. And it just, a lot of these guys are just, and women, men and women, are just everyday people who are just trying to overcome something, one thing or another. And the community overall is super fun. And the fight for a cause for Jamie, I hope they had a really good turnout. I ended up leaving those fights early because I had some personal shit going on, but yeah, that's what I tell people is like, if you don't give a shit about the fights, it's like at least go, because they do the fight for a cause and they always help a local community member that's, like you said, like they are potentially on like a catastrophic level of needing help. So
some sort.
Yeah, so I appreciate Terrell and those guys just simply for the simple fact that they do that. It's an amazing cause. So yeah. So I mean, I could talk for hours with you about it.
Oh yeah,
it's like there's a lot of stuff. But
so we covered a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah, one that just and that's sometimes I feel bad because there's like. Not like you get the Cliff Note version of someone's life, but it's like, I mean, we could have you on 2 or 3 more times to go more in depth with all of it, with your daughter, your recovery, or your fighting, or just even your rehab post your heart attack.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, so maybe we can have you on again, or maybe we could do something when you're getting ready to do the color run. It'd be fun to do like, I don't know, not necessarily like a live pod, but do some like, go to like that fun run and just kind of take a little bit of video and then run it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, cause that's my goal is to do a couple different races this year. I'm looking into a 21K and then a couple 10Ks and stuff. So
yeah, I don't run.
I do a very light jogging.
Yeah.
When luckily with the Spartan race, it's a lot of like fucking elevation change. It's not like a lot of straight running. So that's kind of what I'm into. So. Yeah.
Very good.
Well, Shawn, dude, it was really awesome having you on, and thank you. Like you said, I know you've probably told that story a bunch, but hopefully I kind of got it at a different angle where we got you to speak about some different things, and I appreciate you being so open about your past and your history and everything like that.
Yeah, appreciate having me and asking me.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure for sure.
Yeah, well, I've gotten to know you just a little bit from seeing you at the fights and shit like that, and then through Nick and stuff. Nick's a great guy, him and Ryan both, so...
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully we can have you on again, and we'll be looking forward to the color run.
Color runs in May, yep.
Okay,
That's
cool.
next week.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the icebreaker too, so yeah, hopefully we can get some shit figured out. So
sounds good.
Paris, you anything else to add? You want to send us out?
Yeah, this is Through the Ropes. Thanks again for coming on, and do you have anything that you want to promote on here before we go?
Nothing right now, no. As far as like the radio station, they do their thing, but no, me personally, nothing really. Just getting ready to launch the iFight as a LLC,
and so now Nick and Ryan are taking that over, and they do the Toby. It's not the Dandelion; they're doing it for the Toby's house.
Yeah, they're doing it for Toby's house. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to donate any money towards the iFight, you can either look up iFight, right, and donate it through there.
You go to Toby's house.
Okay, so you go directly to Toby's house if you want to make a donation through that. So,
yep.
Okay, cool. We just want to make sure people know that.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Cool. Well, yep. Thanks for coming on, and that's our episode. We're out.
All right. Peace, guys.
Thanks, guys.